Liam Foster was 36 years old when his wife of 10 years threw him out of their Manhattan penthouse. Exactly 22 minutes after landing the biggest acquisition deal of her career. She didn't know that he was the one who made that $35 million contract possible. She had no idea who really signed off on that deal. And when she found out 2 days later, everything she thought she knew about her success would crumble like sand through her fingers. The betrayal happened on a Thursday afternoon in early October 2024. In the marble-floored living room of the Tribeca penthouse that Maya had insisted they purchase 18 months earlier. Liam stood in the archway of their media room watching his wife spray champagne over herself and her business partner, Julian Castellano. Julian's hand lingered on her waist in a way that made Liam's chest tighten. To the Apex Industries acquisition, Julian announced, his voice carrying that prep school confidence that Liam had grown to despise. $35 million. We're untouchable now, Maya. Maya's laugh was sharp and bright. Nothing like the gentle laugh Liam had fallen in love with 11 years ago at Columbia's graduate program. She was wearing a burgundy Dolce & Gabbana dress he'd never seen before. Her blonde hair falling in perfect waves that probably cost $300 at that salon in Soho. She looked powerful, unreachable, nothing like the woman who used to eat takeout with him in their cramped apartment, sketching business plans on napkins, dreaming of a future they'd build together. We're legends, Maya said, her eyes locked on Julian's. Not on Liam. Never on Liam anymore. Liam cleared his throat. Congratulations, Maya. That's remarkable news. She turned, and for just a heartbeat, he saw something flicker across her face. Irritation. Shame. It disappeared before he could name it. Liam. She said his name like an afterthought. I didn't hear you come in. I live here, he said quietly. Julian smirked, the same smirk Liam had hated for the past 14 months. Ever since Maya brought him on as her CFO at Vertex Solutions. Julian was everything Liam wasn't. Harvard MBA, from generational wealth, connected to every power player in Manhattan's financial district. His family owned properties across 3 continents. Poor Liam A. Glass, Julian said, waving his hand dismissively. Let him celebrate with the big kids. The condescension in his voice was unmistakable. Liam had heard that tone before, from Maya's mother at their wedding, from her colleagues at networking events, from the yacht club members who could never quite place his name. It was the sound of people who'd inherited their first million, looking down at someone who'd earned his first 1,000. Actually, Maya said, setting down her glass. Liam, we need to talk. If you enjoy stories of shocking betrayals, karmic justice, and triumph against entitled arrogance, like this video and subscribe to the channel now. There are brand new stories here every day, each one more gripping than the last. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in this situation? Asterisk. Julian excused himself with a knowing nod, taking the champagne bottle with him toward the kitchen. The sound of his custom John Lobb Oxfords clicking against their imported marble floors echoed through the suddenly silent room. Maya crossed her arms, and Liam noticed she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. His heart, already heavy, dropped into his stomach. I want a divorce, she said simply. No build-up, no apology, just 5 words that ended a decade of marriage. Liam felt the room tilt. What? Don't act shocked, Liam. We've been drifting apart for years. You know it. I know it. I don't know it, he said, his voice cracking despite his effort to stay composed. Maya, what are you talking about? We're going through a rough patch, sure, but… A rough patch? She laughed, harsh and cold. Liam, look at yourself. You're a research analyst at a nonprofit think tank making $68,000 a year. I'm closing 8-figure deals. We're not even in the same universe anymore. The words hit him like physical blows. Kevin worked as a senior policy analyst at the Urban Economics Institute, the same organization where he'd started as an intern 9 years ago, working his way up while Maya built her consulting empire. He'd been proud of his meaningful work. It kept their financial foundation stable while Maya took risks with her startup. It paid their mortgage during the 3 years when Vertex Solutions barely turned a profit. I supported you, Liam said, his voice barely audible. When you wanted to start your company, who covered the bills? Who believed in you when your own family said you'd crash and burn? And I'm grateful for that, Maya said, but her tone suggested otherwise. But that was years ago, Liam. I've evolved. I've outgrown this marriage. I've outgrown you. Is this about Julian? Her silence was answer enough. Liam felt something inside him fracture. Not shatter, not yet, but definitely fracture. How long? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. You're my wife. 8 months, she said, and there wasn't even the courtesy of shame in her admission. He understands my drive. He operates in my world. You'd be content staying in that little nonprofit job forever, writing policy papers nobody reads, satisfied with irrelevance. The cruelty of it stole his breath. This wasn't the woman he'd married. The Maya he'd fallen in love with had been ambitious, yes, but also compassionate. She'd held his hand when his mother died. She'd celebrated when he published his first major research paper. She'd promised him they were partners, building something meaningful together. I want you out tonight, Maya continued, her voice cold and transactional. Now, Julian's already contacted his attorney. We'll handle the divorce efficiently. You'll get what's fair. Fair? Liam laughed, but there was no humor in it. What's fair, Maya? Half of everything you built standing on my shoulders? Half of the business I helped fund in the beginning? You contributed $15,000 3 years ago, she snapped. I've made millions since then. Don't confuse your minor investment with actual partnership. Something shifted in Liam's chest. The fracture widened. He thought about the late nights he'd worked on Vertex's financial models, free of charge. The connections he'd made through his think tank's corporate advisory network, introducing Maya to potential clients. The countless family dinners he'd endured with her judgmental parents, smiling through their thinly veiled contempt because Maya asked him to keep the peace. But there was something else. Something Maya didn't know. Something that had happened just 2 weeks ago in a boardroom in Seattle. Liam had a second career. Independent economic consulting for Fortune 500 companies. Work he did under his middle name, Liam Carter. It was selective, high-paying contract work that he kept separate from his nonprofit employment, building a reputation in market analysis and acquisition vetting. Maya didn't know about it because she'd stopped asking about his work 3 years ago, stopped caring about anything that didn't directly elevate her status. One of his biggest clients was Apex Industries, a multinational conglomerate looking to expand into emerging markets. 2 weeks ago, their CEO, Catherine Apex, had asked Liam to assess a potential acquisition target. Apex Industries was considering a $35 million buyout of a New York-based consulting firm. That firm was Vertex Solutions. Liam had spent 10 days analyzing Vertex's financials, growth projections, and operational integrity. He'd written a comprehensive report. He'd sat across from Catherine Apex in a conference room overlooking Elliott Bay and given his professional recommendation. They're legitimate, Liam had said. Their client retention is exceptional, their revenue growth is sustainable, and their leadership, despite some red flags in corporate governance, has demonstrated strong results. I'd approved the acquisition. Catherine Apex had signed off based on Liam's endorsement. The deal Maya just celebrated. The deal that made her feel entitled to discard their marriage existed because her irrelevant husband had validated her company's worth. She had no idea. Julian had no idea. And Liam wasn't going to tell them. Not yet. I'll pack my things, Liam said quietly. Maya's expression flickered. Was that surprise? Relief? She nodded. There's a Hilton on 6th Avenue. Stay there tonight. Send me the receipt. I'll reimburse you. Even now, she found ways to make him feel insignificant. Liam didn't need her to cover a hotel room. His consulting work paid well enough that he had over $85,000 in a separate account she knew nothing about. Money he'd been saving for their future, for the family they'd talked about having someday. That future was dead now. Liam walked upstairs to their bedroom, no, her bedroom now, and pulled out his leather duffel bag. He packed methodically. Clothes, toiletries, his laptop, important documents. His wedding photo stayed on the nightstand. Let her deal with it. As he zipped the bag, he heard voices downstairs. Maya and Julian laughing about something. Planning their future. Probably their successful, wealthy, perfectly matched future. Liam pulled out his phone and opened his email. He scrolled to a message from Catherine Apex sent just 3 hours ago. Liam, final contracts executed. The Apex Vertex acquisition is official as of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Your assessment was instrumental to our confidence in this partnership. The board wants to express their appreciation. Lunch next month in Seattle? We have another acquisition that needs your expertise. Catherine. Liam stared at the email for a long moment. Then he forwarded it to his personal archive and deleted it from his phone. He'd need that later. Not now, but soon. He carried his bag downstairs. Maya and Julian were back in the living room, sitting too close on the cream leather sectional Liam had helped select when they moved in. Neither of them looked at him as he headed for the door. "Liam," Maya called out when his hand touched the doorknob. He turned, some foolish part of him hoping she'd change her mind, realize her mistake, ask him to stay. "Leave your key on the table," she said. Liam pulled his apartment key off his keyring and set it down on the entry table next to the crystal bowl they'd received as a wedding gift from his aunt. The woman had died 4 months later. She'd adored Maya like a daughter. "Goodbye, Maya," Liam said. She didn't respond. Julian raised his champagne flute in a mocking salute. Liam walked out into the cool October afternoon, the city noise a welcome distraction from the silence behind him. He loaded his bag into his Toyota Camry, a reliable 8-year-old car that Maya's friends had ridiculed at dinner parties, and sat in the driver's seat for a moment, letting the reality settle. 10 years over. Just like that, his phone buzzed. A text from Maya's brother, Preston. "Heard the news. About time. Maya deserves someone who matches her ambition." Liam didn't reply. He started the car and drove, not to the Hilton on 6th Avenue, but to his father's brownstone in Brooklyn Heights. The old man was probably reading in his study. It was almost 5 p.m. But Liam needed to be somewhere that felt authentic. Somewhere that remembered who he was before Maya's world had consumed him. The brownstone's lights were on when he arrived. Liam let himself in with his spare key and quietly made his way inside. His father, Thomas Foster, looked up from his leather armchair, a biography in his hands. "Liam." His father's weathered face shifted from surprise to concern. "What's wrong?" "Maya and I are getting divorced." Thomas set down his book carefully. He'd never warmed to Maya, though he'd been too diplomatic to say so directly. "I'm sorry to hear that. Though I can't say I'm shocked." "Dad, I'm not saying I told you so. I'm saying you'll survive this. Your mother survived worse when her first marriage ended. You've got the same strength she had." Liam felt a lump form in his throat. His mother had passed away 7 years ago, right before Maya's business started accelerating. She would have known what to say right now. She always knew what to say. "Stay as long as you need," Thomas said firmly. "This is your home. Always has been, always will be." The words meant more than Liam could articulate. So he just squeezed his father's shoulder and headed upstairs. His childhood room had been converted into a guest space, but the desk where he'd written his college essays remained. Liam sat there now, staring at his phone. His phone buzzed again. A text from Julian. "No hard feelings, man. Just the way things worked out. Just the way things worked out." As if stealing another man's wife was cosmic coincidence. As if destroying a marriage was casual happenstance. Liam pulled up Apex Industries' contact information on his phone. Catherine Apex's direct line. He could call right now. He could tell Catherine that the CEO of Vertex Solutions was having an affair with her CFO, that she'd just imploded her marriage minutes after signing the contract. He could suggest that perhaps Apex Industries should reconsider partnering with someone of questionable ethics. He could destroy everything Maya had worked for with a single phone call. His finger hovered over the call button. But no, that would be too quick, too simple. Maya and Julian thought they'd won. They thought Liam was just the disposable husband, the irrelevant policy analyst who'd served his purpose and could be discarded now that Maya had reached Manhattan's elite circles. They had no idea what was coming. Liam put his phone down and closed his eyes. Tomorrow he'd call his own attorney. Not some white shoe lawyer like Julian's connection, but Rachel Kim, a tenacious divorce attorney from Queens who'd built her practice representing underdogs against entitled spouses. She'd handled the divorce of one of Liam's colleagues at the think tank, and she'd secured full custody and half of everything. Tomorrow, he'd also send a carefully worded email to Catherine Apex. Not revealing the personal connection yet, but asking some pointed questions about Apex Industries' ethics standards regarding acquisition targets. Just planting seeds. Just creating questions. Tomorrow, he'd start documenting everything. The timeline of Maya and Julian's affair. The financial records he had access to. The emails he'd saved over the years showing how Maya had undervalued his contributions to her business. But tonight, Liam just lay in his childhood bed and let himself feel the full weight of the betrayal. His phone buzzed one more time. He almost ignored it, but something made him check. It was an email from Catherine Apex's executive assistant. "Mr. Carter, Ms. Apex would like to schedule a call with you tomorrow at 11 a.m. regarding the Vertex Solutions acquisition. Some concerns have arisen that require your immediate attention. Please confirm your availability. Liam sat up in bed, his heart suddenly racing. Concerns? What kind of concerns? The contract was already signed. The deal was done. He typed a quick response confirming his availability, then set down his phone with trembling hands. Maybe he wouldn't have to destroy Maya's deal himself. Maybe Apex Industries was already starting to see the cracks in Vertex Solutions' perfect facade. Or maybe, and this thought made Liam smile for the first time in hours, maybe someone at Apex Industries had done a more thorough background check on Maya and Julian than they'd expected. Maybe someone had discovered the affair. Maybe someone had questions about whether a CEO who'd deceive her husband could be trusted with a $35 million partnership. Liam lay back down, but sleep didn't come. His mind was racing, strategizing, calculating. He thought about every conversation he'd had with Catherine Apex over the past year. He thought about the other executives at Apex Industries he'd met, the ones who'd praised his thoroughness and integrity. He thought about the fact that in 2 days, Maya was scheduled to fly to Seattle for the official acquisition celebration. She'd be meeting the Apex Industries leadership team in person for the first time. She'd be shaking hands with Catherine Apex, probably expecting to be treated like the visionary CEO she believed herself to be. She'd be walking into a room where Liam Carter, her soon-to-be ex-husband, the irrelevant policy analyst she'd just discarded, was one of Apex Industries' most trusted consultants. She'd be shaking hands with the man who'd approved her deal, never knowing he was the same man whose apartment key she'd demanded he leave on her entry table. The same man who could take it all away with a single conversation. Liam finally fell asleep around 2 a.m. And for the first time since Maya had said she wanted a divorce, he dreamed of something other than loss. He dreamed of justice. The morning after Liam Foster was thrown out of his own home, he woke up in his childhood bedroom with a text message that would change everything. It was 7:23 a.m., and the message was from Catherine Apex herself, not her assistant. Liam, need to speak with you privately before the 11 a.m. call. Coffee at Grindhouse on Pike Street, 9 a.m. This concerns the Vertex acquisition. Urgent. C.A. Liam stared at the message, his pulse quickening. Catherine Apex didn't do early morning coffee meetings for trivial concerns. Whatever had surfaced was serious enough to warrant face-to-face conversation before the official call. He texted back his confirmation and hauled himself out of bed. His father was already up, sitting at the kitchen table with his usual Earl Grey and newspaper. The old man still insisted on print editions. "You look terrible," Thomas Foster said without preamble. His father had never been one for gentle approaches. "Feel terrible too," Liam admitted, pouring himself coffee. "That woman," Thomas said, shaking his head. "Your mother always said Maya had cold ambition. Said it at the engagement party." "Dad, I'm not rubbing it in. I'm saying you'll land on your feet." Thomas picked up his paper again. "A man needs a partner, not someone who makes him feel insufficient. Your mother supported me through 3 career changes and never once made me feel like I wasn't enough." Liam felt his throat tighten. His mother had died right before Maya's meteoric rise. She would have known what to do right now. She always knew what to do. "I have a meeting," Liam said, checking his watch. "Important client. I'll be back this evening." "Doors always open," Thomas said firmly. "This is your home." The words meant everything. Liam arrived at Grindhouse 10 minutes early and ordered a double espresso, then took a seat in the back corner where he could see the entrance. Catherine Apex walked in at exactly 9 a.m. She was in her late 50s, tall and commanding, wearing a tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than Liam's monthly salary at the think tank. But unlike Julian Castellano's flashy displays of wealth, Catherine carried herself with earned confidence. She'd built Apex Industries from a regional distributor 40 years ago, and every silver strand in her hair told a story of hard-won success. "Liam," Catherine said, shaking his hand firmly before sitting down. She'd brought her own coffee. "Thank you for meeting on short notice." "Of course. Your message said it was urgent." Catherine pulled out a tablet and set it on the table between them. "I received some information late last night that's causing the board significant concern about the Vertex acquisition." Liam's stomach tightened. "What kind of information?" "An anonymous email was sent to our compliance department. It contains screenshots of text messages between Maya Torres and Julian Castellano, her CFO. Catherine's expression was grim. The messages indicate they've been having an affair for approximately 8 months. They also suggest that significant acquisition-related decisions were being made based on their personal relationship rather than sound business judgment. The coffee shop suddenly felt too warm. Liam forced himself to breathe normally. I see. But here's what really concerns me, Liam. Catherine leaned forward. Several of these messages reference cutting dead weight and finally being free to scale without anchors. There's a text from yesterday, sent just hours after the contract was signed, where Castellano tells Torres that he's proud she finally had the spine to kick Liam to the curb. Liam felt his hands curl into fists under the table. He hadn't sent that anonymous email. He hadn't had time to do anything last night except lie awake strategizing. But someone had. Someone knew about the affair and had decided to detonate it spectacularly. Liam is a common name, Liam said carefully. What makes you think it's connected to your consultant? Catherine's eyes met his directly. Because the email also included public records showing that Maya Torres has been married for 10 years to a Liam Foster. The same Liam Foster who's been doing independent consulting for us under the name Liam Carter, his middle name, according to our HR records. The silence stretched between them. Liam felt his carefully constructed separation between his two professional lives collapse in real time. Catherine, he started, but she held up her hand. I'm not angry, Liam. I need you to understand that first. You disclosed your full legal name in your initial contract with us. The Carter alias was simply your professional brand. Everything was legally transparent. Catherine paused, her expression softening slightly. But I need to know, did you know about this affair when you recommended the Vertex acquisition? No, Liam said firmly. I suspected something was deteriorating in my marriage, but I had no proof of anything until yesterday when Maya told me she wanted a divorce. She admitted the affair then. The timeline in those messages would confirm I couldn't have known 8 months ago when I started assessing Vertex for you. Catherine studied him for a long moment, then nodded. I believe you. But Liam, you have to understand the position this creates. We just signed a $35 million deal with a company whose CEO is having an affair with her CFO. An affair she's been concealing from everyone, including her husband. If she's willing to deceive about something this fundamental in her personal life, what else might she be concealing in her business operations? Make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you haven't already, because the ending of this story will absolutely shock you. And drop a comment below telling me what you think Liam should do next. Asterisk. Apex Industries' reputation is built on integrity, Catherine continued. We can't be associated with this level of deception. The board is meeting in 90 minutes to discuss our options. What are the options? Liam asked, though he already knew the answer. We can invoke the ethics clause in the contract. It gives us 45 days to terminate the agreement if we discover material misrepresentation or ethical violations by the acquired company's leadership. The affair itself isn't necessarily grounds for termination, but the deception, the concealment, the questionable decision-making, all of that creates a pattern we can't ignore. Liam thought about Maya, probably still asleep in her penthouse, believing she'd conquered everything, believing she was about to become even more successful, more powerful, more untouchable. What do you need from me? Liam asked. Honestly, I need you to recuse yourself from this decision. Your personal involvement creates a conflict of interest that could expose both you and Apex Industries to legal liability. Catherine's voice was kind but firm. I also need to know, do you want us to terminate this contract? Because if you do, if this is about revenge, I need you to tell me now. Apex Industries doesn't play games, and we don't participate in personal vendettas. The question hung in the air between them. This was it, the moment where Liam had to decide what kind of man he wanted to be. He could push for the contract termination, watch Maya's empire crumble, feel the satisfaction of her downfall. Or he could be better than that. Catherine, Liam said slowly. I won't lie to you. Part of me wants to see your deal fall apart. She humiliated me. She discarded a decade of marriage like it meant nothing. He paused, thinking about his mother, about his father's steady moral compass, about the man he'd been raised to be. But Apex Industries deserves to make this decision based on legitimate business concerns, not my personal pain. If you terminate the contract, it should be because you genuinely believe Vertex Solutions poses a risk to your company's reputation and operations, not because you're doing me a favor. Catherine's expression shifted to something that looked like respect. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And for what it's worth, Liam, I think you're handling this with remarkable integrity. I don't feel like I have integrity, Liam admitted. I feel like my entire life just detonated. Give it time. You'll rebuild. Catherine stood, then paused. One more thing. Maya Torres is scheduled to fly to Seattle on Saturday for the acquisition celebration. We're moving that meeting to tomorrow, Friday, and we're restructuring it as a working session instead of a celebration. She needs to know that we have serious questions about Vertex's operations and leadership. Will you tell her about the anonymous email? We'll tell her we've received concerning information that we need to address. We won't specify the source or the details until we've had a chance to investigate thoroughly. And Catherine's voice took on a harder edge. She's going to figure out eventually that you're our consultant. When that happens, this could get very ugly. Liam thought about that for a moment. Maya discovering that her irrelevant husband was the one who'd vetted her company, who'd made her deal possible, who could potentially destroy it all with a single conversation. Let it get ugly, Liam said quietly. I'm done protecting her from consequences. After Catherine left, Liam sat in the coffee shop for another 20 minutes, processing everything. Someone had sent that anonymous email. Someone who knew about the affair and wanted to expose it. Who? A friend? An enemy? A concerned employee at Vertex who'd witnessed things they shouldn't have. His phone rang. Rachel Kim, the attorney he'd emailed late last night. Mr. Foster, she said briskly. I got your email. I can see you this afternoon at 3 p.m. if you're available. Bring any financial documents you have access to, and we'll start building your case. I'll be there, Liam confirmed. One question before we meet. Is your wife aware that you've retained counsel? Not yet. Good. Let's keep it that way for now. The element of surprise is often our best weapon. After hanging up, Liam headed to the Urban Economics Institute where he was technically supposed to be working his regular job. But his mind wasn't on policy research or economic modeling. He went straight to his office, closed the door, and started documenting everything. He pulled up his personal email archives and began forwarding messages to a secure folder. Every email where Maya had dismissed his contributions. Every text where she'd made him feel inadequate. Every message showing how she'd slowly pushed him to the margins of her increasingly extravagant life. He documented the timeline of his independent consulting work, showing clearly that he'd built a successful secondary career that Maya knew nothing about because she'd stopped caring about his professional development years ago. He made a list of everyone who'd witnessed her condescending treatment of him. Colleagues at the think tank. Her own family members who'd made dismissive comments at gatherings. Friends who'd slowly stopped inviting them places because Maya's attitude had become insufferable. Around noon, his phone buzzed with a text from Julian Castellano. Hey man, Maya wants to know if you found a place yet. We need to coordinate logistics for you collecting the rest of your belongings. The casual arrogance of it made Liam's blood boil. As if Julian had any authority over what happened with Liam's possessions. In Liam's home, in Liam's life, Liam typed back. Tell Maya to communicate with me directly. And tell her my attorney will be in touch soon regarding the divorce proceedings. The response came back almost immediately. Attorney? Dude, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Maya is being generous. Liam didn't respond. Let them wonder. Let them worry. His office phone rang, the institute's main number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Liam Foster, Policy Analysis. Liam, it's Dr. Patricia Okonkwo from administration. Patricia was the institute's executive director, someone Liam had worked with for years. They had a good professional relationship. Do you have a moment to come to my office? Something's come up that I need to discuss with you. His stomach dropped. Is everything all right? Just come to my office, please. It's important. Liam walked across the institute to the administration wing, his mind racing. Had Maya somehow gotten him fired? Did she have that kind of reach? Patricia's office was modest but comfortable, decorated with photos of her two sons and various policy achievement awards. She gestured for Liam to sit down and close the door. Liam, I received a very unusual phone call this morning from a Julian Castellano. He claimed to be your wife's business partner. Patricia's expression was carefully neutral. He wanted to know about your employment status here, your salary, your performance reviews. He said he was calling on behalf of your wife as part of divorce proceedings. Liam felt a fresh wave of anger wash over him. That's completely inappropriate. He has no right to that information. I know. I told him that we don't release employee information without proper legal authorization and ended the call. But Liam, Patricia leaned forward. He then said something that concerns me. He said, and I'm quoting here, Liam Foster is about to learn what happens when someone tries to punch above their weight class. What did he mean by that? My wife and I are separating, Liam said, choosing his words carefully. Her business partner is involved. I think they're trying to intimidate me into accepting an unfavorable divorce settlement. Patricia's expression hardened. That's not going to happen on my watch. Liam, you've been an exceptional employee here for 9 years. Your research is exemplary, and your integrity is beyond question. If you need time off to deal with personal matters, let me know. And if anyone else calls asking about you, I'll be reporting it to our legal department as harassment. Thank you, Patricia. That means a lot. One more thing, she said, pulling out a folder. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I think you should know. We received your annual review from Dr. Harrison last week. He's recommending you for promotion to Director of Policy Research. It comes with a salary increase to $98,000 and a seat on the Institute's executive board. Liam felt something loosen in his chest. $98,000. Not the millions Maya was making, but enough to prove he wasn't the failure she'd painted him to be. The board votes on it next month, Patricia continued. But between you and me, it's essentially decided. You've earned this, Liam. He left her office feeling slightly more grounded. Whatever else happened, he had this. A solid career, respect from his colleagues, a future that didn't depend on Maya's approval. His phone rang again, this time, an unknown Seattle number. Hello, Mr. Carter. This is Douglas Chen, General Counsel for Apex Industries. His voice was formal, professional. I'm calling to inform you that we'll need you to participate in tomorrow's working session with Vertex Solutions. Your technical expertise will be crucial for the questions we need to address. Liam's heart skipped a beat. You want me in the room when Maya Torres arrives? We want our consultant in the room, yes. Ms. Torres requested that the meeting include Apex Industries' key decision-makers and advisors. You're one of our most trusted advisors, Mr. Carter. Your presence is non-negotiable. She doesn't know that I'm Liam Carter, he said quietly. What Ms. Torres knows or doesn't know is not our concern. We're conducting a business meeting with our consultant present. If there's a personal connection that creates discomfort, that's unfortunate, but it doesn't change our requirements. Douglas's voice softened slightly. Ms. Apex has briefed me on the situation, Mr. Carter. We're not doing this to punish anyone. We're doing this because we need your honest assessment of Vertex's capabilities, and we need you in that room to address technical questions that only you can answer. I understand, Liam said, though his hands were shaking. The meeting is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. We'll have a car pick you up from SeaTac at 11 a.m. First-class ticket is being sent to your email now. After he hung up, Liam sat in his car in the Institute's parking lot for a long time, staring at nothing. Tomorrow. 24 hours from now. Maya would walk into that conference room expecting to be celebrated as a visionary CEO who just landed a massive deal. Instead, she'd find herself facing tough questions from Apex Industries leadership. And she'd see Liam sitting at the table. Not as her soon-to-be ex-husband. Not as the irrelevant policy analyst she'd discarded. But as Liam Carter, the respected consultant whose endorsement had made her deal possible in the first place. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you would have done in Liam's situation. Asterisk. He drove to Rachel Kim's office in Queens, a modest building that housed several small law practices. Rachel herself was in her early 40s, sharp-eyed and direct, with a reputation for taking on powerful opponents and winning. Mr. Foster, she said, shaking his hand firmly. I've reviewed the preliminary information you sent. Let's talk about what you want out of this divorce. What I want? Liam laughed bitterly. I want my marriage back. I want my wife to remember who she was before money and success turned her into someone I don't recognize. That's not going to happen, Rachel said bluntly. So let's focus on what's achievable. You said she started her business while you were married. You supported her financially during the lean years. You may have a claim to a significant portion of her assets. She said I only contributed $15,000. Doesn't matter. New York is an equitable distribution state. Marital assets are divided fairly, not necessarily equally. But the court looks at non-financial contributions too. You supported her emotionally. You maintained the household. You provided stability that allowed her to take risks. All of that has value. Rachel pulled out a legal pad. Tell me everything. Start from the beginning. How did you meet? When did her behavior change? What assets do you know about? Liam spent the next 2 hours detailing his marriage. And with Rachel's skilled questioning, he began to see patterns he'd missed before. The way Maya had gradually separated their finances. The way she'd started making major decisions without consulting him. The way she'd slowly cut him out of her professional life until he was just an accessory she'd trotted out for family events. She's been planning this for a while, Rachel said finally. The affair with Castellano, the way she's positioned her assets, this wasn't a sudden decision. She's been strategically preparing to divorce you. The realization hurt more than Liam expected. She never really valued me at all, did she? I don't know about that, Rachel said, her voice gentler now. People change. Success changes people. Sometimes they grow together. Sometimes they grow apart. But what matters now is protecting yourself. You mentioned she has a penthouse in Tribeca. Did you buy it together? 2 years ago. Both names on the deed. Good. Don't sign anything she sends you. Don't agree to move out permanently. Don't give up any rights verbally. As far as the law is concerned, that's still your home until a court says otherwise. She threw me out. Doesn't matter. You have as much right to be there as she does. In fact, Rachel smiled slightly. I want you to go back there tomorrow morning. Take someone with you as a witness, a friend, your father, anyone. Pack more of your belongings. Establish that you haven't abandoned the property. It'll be important for the divorce proceedings. Liam thought about walking back into that penthouse, facing Maya and Julian. The idea made his stomach turn. What if they call the police? They can try, but you're on the deed. You have every legal right to be there. And Liam, Rachel's expression turned fierce. Stop letting these people intimidate you. They want you to feel small, to roll over and accept whatever they decide to give you. Don't fight. Make them work for every single thing they try to take from you. Liam left her office feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Powerful. Not because of money or status or professional success, but because he'd finally stopped accepting other people's assessment of his worth. He drove back to Brooklyn Heights and found his father in the study, working on a crossword puzzle. Dad, Liam said, I need your help tomorrow morning. I have to fly to Seattle for a business meeting, but before that, I need to go back to the penthouse to pack more of my things. Can you come with me? Thomas set down his pen. Of course. What time? Early. 7 a.m. My lawyer says I need a witness. Someone to make sure Maya and her boyfriend don't try anything. His father nodded slowly. I never liked that place anyway. Too sterile. Too cold. Like the woman who chose it. That night, Liam lay in his childhood bed again, but this time he wasn't wallowing in grief. He was planning. Tomorrow would be brutal. Facing Maya at the penthouse in the morning, then flying to Seattle to sit across from her again in the afternoon. 2 confrontations in one day. But he was ready. For the first time since Maya had announced she wanted a divorce, Liam Foster felt like he was the one holding the cards. His phone buzzed with one final message before he fell asleep. It was from Catherine Apex. Liam, the board met. We're proceeding with the working session tomorrow, but we're not terminating the contract yet. We need to hear Ms. Torres' explanations first. Whatever happens, know that your professionalism through this situation has been exemplary. You're a good man in a bad situation. That won't be forgotten. C.A. Liam read the message 3 times, then set his phone down. He didn't want revenge. He didn't want to destroy Maya's deal out of spite. But he did want her to know, to really understand, that the man she'd dismissed as irrelevant, the man she'd discarded like trash, was someone she should have valued all along. Tomorrow, she'd learn that lesson. Whether she'd understand it was another question entirely. The next morning, Liam and his father arrived at the Tribeca penthouse at 7:30 a.m. Liam still had his key. The one he'd left on the entry table had been a spare. He'd kept his original set because some part of him hadn't fully believed the marriage was really over. Now, standing on the threshold of the home he'd helped buy, helped maintain, helped turn into something beautiful, Liam realized this was real. This was happening, and there was no going back. Ready? Thomas Foster asked, his weathered hand on his son's shoulder. No, Liam admitted, but let's do it anyway. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. The smell hit him first. Unfamiliar cologne, expensive and heavy. Julian's cologne. The man had spent the night in Liam's home. Probably in Liam's bed. Liam felt his jaw clench, but he forced himself to stay calm. He had a witness. He had a lawyer. He had rights. The living room showed evidence of their celebration. Empty champagne bottles. 2 glasses still on the coffee table. Maya's heels kicked off near the sectional. Liam walked past it all toward the stairs. Liam. Maya's voice came from above, sharp with surprise. What are you doing here? She appeared at the top of the stairs in a silk robe Liam had never seen before. Her hair disheveled, her expression shifting rapidly from shock to anger. Julian appeared behind her, shirtless, his smug expression faltering when he saw Thomas Foster standing in the foyer. I'm collecting my belongings, Liam said evenly. This is my father, Thomas. He's here as a witness. A witness? Maya laughed, but there was an edge to it. Liam, this is ridiculous. We already discussed. We discussed nothing, Liam interrupted. You made a unilateral decision to end our marriage and demanded I leave. But legally, this is still my home. My name is on the deed, and my attorney advised me not to abandon the property. Your attorney? Julian scoffed. Come on, man, don't make this ugly. Maya's offering you a generous settlement. I haven't seen any settlement offer, Liam said, starting up the stairs. And until I do, I'm within my rights to access my own property. Maya moved to block his path, but Thomas's voice cut through the tension. Ms. Torres, I suggest you step aside. My son has every legal right to be here, and I'm documenting his actions to prove he's not removing any property that doesn't belong to him. We have a detailed list of his personal items, and I'm recording this on my phone right now. Everything is being documented. Liam looked at his father in surprise. He hadn't known about the recording, but Thomas gave him a slight nod. Smart. Everything would be documented. Maya's face flushed red, but she moved aside. Liam brushed past her and Julian, heading for the bedroom he'd woken up in every morning for 2 years. The bed was unmade, sheets twisted, evidence of what had happened there last night. He felt sick, but he pushed through it. He pulled out his largest suitcase and started packing methodically. Clothes, shoes, personal items, the watch his mother had given him for his 30th birthday, his laptop from the home office, his books, his documents. You can't take that, Julian said, pointing to the laptop. That's community property. It's my personal laptop that I use for my independent consulting business, Liam said without looking at him. It's not community property. Everything I'm taking is mine alone. Independent consulting? Maya's voice was sharp. What are you talking about? Liam paused, his hand on the laptop case. This was it, the moment he could reveal everything. Or keep his cards close. He chose the latter. I have a second career, Maya. Have had for years. You never asked about it, so I never mentioned it. He zipped up the laptop case. Turns out I'm not as irrelevant as you thought. He saw something flicker across her face. Confusion, maybe the beginning of concern. But she quickly masked it with anger. If you've been hiding income, Liam, that's going to look very bad in divorce proceedings. I haven't hidden anything. It's all properly reported, taxed, completely legal. My attorney has all the documentation. He moved to the closet, pulling down boxes from the top shelf. Unlike some people, I don't believe in deception. The implication hung in the air. Julian stepped forward aggressively, but Thomas appeared in the doorway. I wouldn't do that, young man, Thomas said quietly. We're recording everything, remember? You lay one hand on my son, and you'll be explaining it to the police. Julian backed off, but his expression was murderous. Liam continued packing, moving through the room with systematic efficiency. Every item he took was legitimately his. He wanted no legal complications. The wedding photo stayed on the nightstand. Let Maya deal with it. As he carried his first load downstairs, Maya followed him, her voice taking on a pleading quality he hadn't heard in years. Liam, please, can we talk about this rationally? I know I hurt you. I know I should have handled things better. But we can work out a fair agreement without lawyers and courts and all this drama. Liam set down his suitcase and turned to face her. Really look at her. The woman he'd loved for 11 years. The woman he'd supported, believed in, sacrificed for. The woman who'd looked him in the eye less than 48 hours ago and called him irrelevant. You threw me out, Maya. Minutes after celebrating the biggest deal of your career. A deal I helped make possible, though you don't know that yet. You told me you'd outgrown me. You said I was satisfied with irrelevance. You admitted you'd been cheating on me for 8 months. His voice was calm, almost gentle, which made the words cut deeper. There is no rational conversation to be had here. You made your choice. Now you get to live with the consequences. What do you mean you helped make the deal possible? Maya's eyes narrowed. You'll find out soon enough. Liam picked up his suitcase again. I have a flight to Seattle at 1 p.m. I need to finish packing. Seattle? Maya's face went pale. Why are you going to Seattle? Liam didn't answer. He made 3 more trips between the bedroom and his car, his father standing guard the entire time, making sure Julian didn't try anything stupid. On his final trip, Liam stopped in the home office, the room where Maya had spent countless hours building Vertex solutions while Liam supported her in every possible way. The walls were covered with awards, articles, photos of Maya with various business leaders and politicians. Not a single picture of Liam. It was like he'd never existed in her success story. There was one photo he wanted, though. On the corner of her desk, facing away from her usual line of sight, was a picture from their honeymoon in Santorini. They looked impossibly young, impossibly happy. Maya was laughing at something Liam had said, her eyes full of love and possibility. He picked up the frame and looked at it for a long moment. That woman, the one in the photo, she was worth 10 years of his life. But that woman didn't exist anymore. Liam put the photo back exactly where it had been and walked out. In the foyer, Maya tried one more time. Liam, please. Whatever you're planning, whatever you think you know, let's just talk like adults. Like the partners we used to be. We were never partners, Maya. Not really. I was your support system, your safety net, the person who made it possible for you to take risks because you knew I'd be there to catch you if you fell. Liam opened the front door. But you don't need me anymore. You have Julian. You have your success. You have everything you wanted. So why do you look so worried? She didn't answer, but he saw it in her eyes. Fear. Real, genuine fear. Because Maya was smart, and she was beginning to realize that something was very wrong. The confident dismissal of 2 days ago was cracking. Liam and his father loaded the last of his belongings into both their cars. As they were pulling away from the curb, Liam saw Maya on the phone, pacing in the front window. Calling someone. Probably her lawyer. Probably Julian's contact at Apex Industries. Too late. Whatever she was trying to do, it was too late. At JFK, Liam hugged his father goodbye. Thank you for this morning. I know it wasn't easy. That woman, Thomas said, shaking his head. She has no idea what she threw away. But she will. He gripped Liam's shoulders. Men like us, men with integrity, with loyalty, were rare. She traded gold for glitter. Liam smiled despite everything. I love you, Dad. Love you too, son. Go show them who you really are. The first-class flight to Seattle was surreal. Liam had flown for business before, but always economy, always budget-conscious. Apex Industries was treating him like a valued executive, and it felt strange after years of Maya making him feel like his work didn't matter. He used the flight time to review the technical documentation he'd prepared for Vertex's assessment. He knew Maya's systems inside and out now. He'd spent 10 days analyzing every aspect of her business. He knew where the strengths were. He also knew where the weaknesses were, the places where Vertex's rapid growth had created vulnerabilities. He knew things Maya probably didn't even know about her own company. The car Apex Industries sent to pick him up from SeaTac was a black Mercedes driven by a professional chauffeur who called him Mr. Carter, with genuine respect. They drove to Apex Industries headquarters, a gleaming steel and glass tower overlooking Elliott Bay. Catherine Apex met him in the lobby personally. Liam, thank you for coming on short notice. Of course, though I have to admit, I'm not sure what to expect from this meeting. Honestly, neither am I. Catherine guided him toward the elevators. Ms. Torres will be here in an hour. The board wanted time to brief you on the questions we'll be asking. Some of them are technical, some are about business practices, and some. She paused as the elevator doors closed. Some are about leadership and integrity. We need your honest assessment, Liam. Not as Maya's husband, as our consultant who knows her company's operations. They walked into a large conference room on the 28th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Seattle skyline. A dozen people were already there. Apex Industries board members, their general counsel Douglas Chen, several senior executives Liam recognized from previous meetings. Everyone greeted him as Liam Carter. Everyone treated him with professional respect. For the first time in years, Liam felt like he was in a room where people valued his expertise, his judgment, his contributions. Douglas Chen ran through the agenda. They'd be asking Maya to address several specific concerns. The accelerated timeline of several key decisions in the acquisition process, some financial projections that seemed overly optimistic, questions about Vertex's client retention rates, and concerns about the company's leadership structure. "We're not trying to trick her," Douglas explained. "These are legitimate business questions that arose from a more detailed review of the acquisition documents. But Mr. Carter, we need you here to verify her technical answers. If she says something about her systems, her security protocols, her operational capacity, we need to know if it's accurate." "I understand," Liam said. At 1:55 p.m., Catherine's assistant called from downstairs. "Ms. Torres has arrived." Liam felt his heart rate spike. This was it. In 5 minutes, Maya would walk through that door expecting a celebration and find an interrogation instead. And she'd see him sitting at the table. The board members took their seats. Liam sat between Douglas Chen and Catherine's chief operations officer, positioned where he could see the door but not directly in Maya's immediate line of sight. At exactly 2 p.m., the conference room door opened. Maya walked in, Julian Castellano right behind her. She was wearing a navy power suit, her hair perfectly styled, her smile confident and professional. She looked like a woman on top of the world. "Ms. Apex," she said, extending her hand. "Thank you so much for arranging this meeting. Julian and I are thrilled to." She stopped mid-sentence. Her eyes had landed on Liam. The color drained from her face. Her hand, still extended toward Catherine, began to tremble visibly. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. "What?" she started, then stopped. "Liam, what are you doing here?" Every person in the room turned to look at her, then at Liam. The confusion was palpable. "Ms. Torres," Catherine said carefully. "I'd like you to meet Liam Carter, one of our senior consultants. He's been working with Apex Industries for the past 18 months on various acquisition and market analysis projects. He was the primary consultant who assessed Vertex Solutions for this acquisition." Maya was still staring at Liam, her expression cycling through shock, confusion, and dawning horror. "Liam Carter," she repeated slowly. "Your middle name?" "Yes," Liam said calmly. He didn't stand. He didn't smile. He just watched her try to process what this meant. Julian Castellano, slower on the uptake, was frowning. "Wait, you're telling me that your consultant is Maya's husband? The same guy she just..." He caught himself, but too late. "The same guy she just what, Mr. Castellano?" Douglas Chen asked, his voice sharp. An uncomfortable silence filled the room. Maya had gone from pale to red, her breathing rapid. She looked at the table full of executives, then back at Liam, her mind clearly racing to understand how this had happened, what it meant, what she should do. "Perhaps we should all sit down," Catherine suggested. "Ms. Torres, Mr. Castellano, please." They sat, but Maya couldn't stop staring at Liam. He met her gaze steadily, letting her see that he wasn't the broken man she'd thrown out 2 days ago. He was Liam Carter, respected consultant, trusted advisor, the man whose endorsement had made her dream deal possible. "I think," Catherine began, "we should address the elephant in the room." "Yes, Liam Carter is married to Maya Torres, or rather, was married. Our understanding is that you're in the process of divorcing. Is that correct?" "Yes," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We're separating. And you didn't know that your husband had a consulting business under his middle name?" Douglas asked. "No, Maya shot Liam a look that was equal parts accusation and desperation. "He never told me." "Ms. Torres," Liam said, speaking directly to her for the first time. "You stopped asking about my work 3 years ago. You stopped being interested in anything I did professionally. You made it abundantly clear that my career was insignificant compared to yours. So no, I didn't share details about my consulting business with you. Why would I, when you'd made it crystal clear that you didn't care?" The words hung in the air, each one landing like a hammer blow. Several board members shifted uncomfortably. Julian started to say something, but Maya put her hand on his arm, stopping him. "I think," Catherine said, "we should move forward with the business questions we came here to discuss. Mr. Carter's personal relationship with Ms. Torres is unfortunate timing, but it doesn't change the fact that we have legitimate concerns about this acquisition. Ms. Torres, shall we begin?" The next hour was brutal. Catherine and her team asked pointed questions about Vertex's operations, and Maya struggled to answer. Not because she didn't know her business, she did. But because every technical question had to be verified by Liam, and every time he spoke, he could see her dying a little inside. When she claimed Vertex's cybersecurity protocols were industry-leading, Liam quietly corrected her. Actually, their protocols are adequate but not exceptional. They meet basic standards but lack some advanced features that would be expected for a company handling sensitive corporate data at this scale. When she boasted about their client retention rate exceeding 90%, Liam pulled up the actual numbers. 83% for the past fiscal year. Still respectable, but not quite as strong as represented. When she tried to explain their planned expansion timeline, Liam pointed out logistical challenges she'd overlooked. The infrastructure requirements for that kind of growth would require significant capital investment, roughly $3 million by my analysis, which isn't accounted for in the current budget projections. He wasn't trying to destroy her. He was just telling the truth. But the truth was damaging enough. Julian tried to jump in several times, tried to smooth over Maya's stumbles, but it only made things worse. It became increasingly clear to everyone in the room that Julian didn't have the technical expertise to back up his confident assertions, and that Vertex's success had been built more on Maya's sales skills and Julian's connections than on solid operational foundations. Finally, Douglas Chen addressed the real issue. Ms. Torres, we've received information suggesting that some key business decisions at Vertex have been influenced by personal relationships rather than sound business judgment. Can you address that? Maya's eyes widened. I don't know what you're referring to. We're referring to your relationship with Mr. Castellano. Our information suggests that you and he have been involved personally for approximately 8 months, and that this relationship has impacted your professional decision-making. The silence was deafening. Maya looked at Liam, and he saw the exact moment she realized he'd known. He'd known about the affair, and he'd let her walk into this room blind. Our personal relationship, Julian said, his voice tight, has nothing to do with our business capabilities. Doesn't it? Catherine asked. Because from where I'm sitting, it suggests a pattern of deception and poor judgment. You've been lying to Ms. Torres' husband for months. What else are you lying about? What else have you hidden from us in these acquisition documents? Nothing, Maya said desperately. Ms. Apex, I understand this looks bad, but I assure you our personal situation hasn't affected our business operations. Vertex Solutions is a solid company with real capabilities and a strong track record. Whatever mistakes I've made in my personal life, and I know I've made them, don't reflect on our business integrity. She turned to Liam, her eyes pleading now. Liam, please, tell them. You assessed our company. You know we're legitimate. Tell them. Everyone looked at Liam. This was it. The moment where he could destroy everything she'd worked for with a single sentence. Or he could be the bigger person. The man his parents had raised him to be. Vertex Solutions is a legitimate business, Liam said slowly. Their client work is solid. Their growth is real. The company Maya built is impressive by any objective measure. He paused, letting that sink in. But, that one word made Maya flinch. But there are concerns about leadership judgment and operational readiness for this scale of partnership. The affair itself isn't the issue. People's personal lives are their own business. The issue is the deception, the concealment, the pattern of prioritizing personal desires over professional ethics. Liam looked directly at Maya. You've built something real, Maya. But you've also compromised it through your choices. And now Apex Industries has to decide if they can trust a partner who's proven willing to deceive the people closest to her. Catherine nodded slowly. Thank you, Mr. Carter. That's a fair assessment. She turned to Maya. Ms. Torres, here's where we stand. The acquisition contract includes an ethics clause that allows for termination within the first 45 days if we discover material misrepresentation or ethical violations. The board is prepared to invoke that clause. No, Maya breathed. No, please. This deal, it's everything we've worked for. Everything. However, Catherine continued, we're also willing to consider an alternative. We modify the contract to include much stricter oversight provisions, regular audits, and a requirement that you step down as CEO for 6 months while we bring in an independent executive to evaluate Vertex's operations. If they find everything in order, you can resume your role. If not, we terminate the partnership. Maya looked like she'd been slapped. Step down from my own company? It's either that, or we terminate the contract entirely, Douglas said. Those are your options, Ms. Torres. Julian leaned over, whispering urgently to Maya. Liam could see her struggling, could see the calculation happening behind her eyes. She'd lost control of this situation completely, And now she was trying to salvage anything she could. Can we have a moment to discuss this privately? Maya asked. Of course. We'll give you 15 minutes. Catherine stood, and the entire board filed out of the conference room, leaving Maya and Julian alone. Liam started to leave with them, but Maya's voice stopped him. Liam, please don't go. He turned. She was standing now, and for the first time since he'd known her, Maya Torres looked small. Defeated. Human. Please, she said again. Can we talk? Just for a minute? Liam looked at Catherine, who nodded permission. 5 minutes, Catherine said. Then we need your answer, Ms. Torres. The board left. Julian stood. Maya, we should discuss. Get out, Julian. Maya's voice was flat, emotionless. What? Get out. She didn't even look at him. This is your fault. Your big plans, your connections, your don't worry about the details attitude. You convinced me I'd outgrown Liam, that I deserved more. And now look where we are. Julian's face flushed red. You can't be serious. We're partners. No, we're done. The partnership, the relationship, all of it. I'll buy out your share of Vertex, but I never want to see you again. Now she did look at him, and her expression was pure ice. You promised me this deal was solid. You promised me your connections would protect us. You've given me nothing but risk and liability. Get out of my company. Julian stared at her for a long moment, then shook his head. You're making a mistake. I've made a lot of mistakes. Trusting you was just one of them. He left, slamming the door behind him. Liam and Maya were alone. She sank into her chair, suddenly looking exhausted. You must really hate me right now. I don't hate you, Liam said honestly. I'm angry. I'm hurt. But I don't hate you, Maya. You knew, she said quietly. You knew this whole time that you were Apex Industries' consultant. You knew they'd ask you about Vertex. You knew I'd walk into this room and see you sitting there. And you let it happen. Yes, Liam admitted. I did. Why? She looked up at him, and her eyes were wet with tears. Was it revenge? Did you want to see me fail? Liam pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. I wanted you to understand what you threw away. I wanted you to know that the man you called irrelevant, the man you dismissed as beneath you, was someone who mattered. Someone whose work had value. Someone who'd been helping you succeed all along, even when you couldn't see it. I see it now, Maya whispered. God, Liam, I see it now. Do you? Because 2 days ago, you looked me in the eye and told me you'd outgrown me. You said I was satisfied with irrelevance. You threw away a decade like it meant nothing. I was wrong. The tears were falling now, streaking her perfect makeup. I was so wrong. I got caught up in the success, in the money, in the feeling of being powerful. Julian kept telling me I deserved more, that I shouldn't settle, that someone like you was holding me back. And I believed him because it was easier than admitting I was terrified. Terrified of what? Of failing. Of discovering that all my success was just luck. Of not being as special as everyone kept telling me I was. Maya wiped at her eyes. You were the one person who loved me before any of this, Liam. You loved me when I was nobody. When I was just a scared grad student who didn't know if she could make it. And instead of holding on to that, instead of appreciating it, I threw it away because you reminded me of a time when I wasn't successful. You were the evidence that I used to be ordinary, and I couldn't stand it. Liam felt something crack in his chest. Not anger this time. Sadness. Deep, aching sadness for what they'd lost. For what Maya had destroyed through her own fear and insecurity. I'm sorry, she said, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry, Liam. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve your forgiveness. But I need you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. I see what I lost. Maya, I'm going to tell Catherine the first accept their terms. I'll step down temporarily, let them audit everything, prove that Vertex is solid. And I'm going to end the partnership with Julian. You were right about him. He was using me, using the business, and I was too blind to see it. She took a shaky breath. And then I'm going to sign whatever divorce papers your attorney sends me. I'm not going to fight you on the settlement. Whatever you want, it's yours. The penthouse, half the business, all of it. You earned it, Liam. You earned every bit of it, and I should have valued that all along. Liam studied her face, trying to see if this was manipulation or genuine remorse. He'd been fooled before, but there was something in her expression, a brokenness, a humility, that he'd never seen before. I don't want to destroy you, Maya. I never did. I know. And that just makes this worse, doesn't it? Because even now, even after everything I've done, you're still being decent to me. You could have told Catherine to kill the deal entirely. You could have made me lose everything. But you didn't. Because that's not who I am, Liam said simply. And despite everything, I still remember the woman I married. The woman who used to care about people, not just success. I hope you find her again, Maya. I really do. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of 10 years pressing down on both of them. For what it's worth, Maya said finally, you were never irrelevant. You were extraordinary, and I was too stupid and too selfish to see it. There was a knock on the door. Catherine's assistant peeked in. Ms. Torres, the board is ready for your answer. Maya stood, straightening her suit, wiping away the last of her tears. She looked at Liam one more time. Thank you. For everything. For believing in me when no one else did. For supporting me when I didn't deserve it. And for not destroying me when you had every right to. Be better, Maya, Liam said. That's all I ever wanted. Just be better. She nodded and walked out to face Catherine and her board. Liam stayed in the conference room for a few more minutes, collecting himself. Through the glass wall, he could see Maya delivering her answer. Could see the board members nodding, discussing. The deal would stand, but modified. Maya would face consequences, but not total destruction. Julian was out. And Liam was finally free. He pulled out his phone and texted Rachel Kim. Meeting went well. Maya says she won't contest the divorce. I'll fill you in on everything when I'm back in New York. Then he texted his father. It's over, Dad. Really over. And I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm going to be fine. 2 months later, asterisk. Liam stood in his new apartment in Brooklyn, a 2-bedroom with exposed brick and large windows that let in the morning sun. It wasn't ostentatious like the Tribeca penthouse, but it was his. Paid for with his own money, furnished with his own taste, filled with his own things. The divorce papers had been signed. Maya had kept her promise. She hadn't fought him on anything. The settlement gave Liam half the equity in the penthouse, a percentage of Vertex Solutions' value, and enough money to pay off his student loans, help his father with some home repairs, and start fresh. He'd taken the money and walked away, leaving Maya to rebuild what she'd nearly destroyed. His phone rang. Catherine Apex. Liam, or should I say Liam Foster now? Either works, Liam said, smiling. I wanted to let you know that we've completed our audit of Vertex Solutions. You were right. The business is solid. Maya is stepping back into the CEO role next month, and honestly, the time away seems to have done her good. She's more focused, more humble, more aware of her blind spots. I'm glad, Liam said. And he meant it. She built something real. She deserves a chance to do it right. She does. And Liam. Catherine paused. Apex Industries is expanding our consulting division. We'd like to bring you on full-time. Senior Director of Strategic Acquisitions. 6-figure salary, full benefits, and you'd be based here in Seattle. Interested? Liam looked around his apartment, thought about his life in New York, his father, his friends, his job at the institute that had just promoted him to Director of Policy Research. Can I think about it? He asked. Of course. Take your time. The offer is open whenever you're ready. After they hung up, Liam made himself dinner, nothing fancy, just pasta and salad, and ate it at his small dining table while watching the sunset through his windows. His life was different now. Smaller in some ways, but it was his. Every piece of it. His phone buzzed with a text from a number he didn't recognize. This is Maya. I know I don't have the right to contact you, but I needed to tell you something. I started therapy. Real therapy, not just executive coaching. I'm working on understanding why I did what I did, why I treated you the way I did. I don't expect your forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better. Like you said. Liam stared at the message for a long time. Part of him wanted to delete it, block her number, move on completely. But another part, the part that had loved her for 11 years, was glad she was getting help. He typed back, I'm glad you're working on yourself. That takes courage. I hope you find what you're looking for. Be well, Maya. That night, Liam sat on his couch with his laptop, not working on economic analysis, but instead writing. He discovered he had a lot to say about marriage, about betrayal, about finding yourself after losing everything you thought defined you. Maybe he'd turn it into a book someday. Maybe it would help someone else going through what he'd survived. Or maybe he'd just write it for himself. As a reminder of who he was and what he'd learned. The lesson wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about destroying the people who hurt you. The lesson was simpler and more profound. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming the person you were meant to be. The person you couldn't become when you were trying to fit into someone else's vision of your life. Liam had spent 10 years supporting Maya's dreams, shrinking himself to make room for her ambitions. And when she'd thrown him away, he'd discovered something unexpected. He'd been building his own success all along. He'd been valuable all along. He'd been extraordinary all along. He just needed to stop waiting for someone else to recognize it. 3 months after that asterisk, Liam ran into Maya at a coffee shop in Manhattan. She was alone, no Julian, no entourage, just Maya with a laptop and a regular coffee instead of her usual elaborate order. "Hi," she said quietly. "Hi," he replied. "You look good," she said. "Happy." "I am," he said honestly. "You look better too. More like yourself." "I'm getting there." She hesitated. "I heard about the Apex Industries offer. Seattle. Are you taking it?" "I haven't decided yet." "For what it's worth, you should. You deserve that level of opportunity. You always did." They stood there for a moment. Two people who'd shared 10 years of life, now standing as strangers. But it didn't hurt the way Liam thought it would. It just felt complete. "Take care of yourself, Maya," he said. "You too, Liam. And thank you. For everything. Especially for reminding me that success without integrity is just failure in expensive clothes." He smiled at that. "That's pretty good. Did your therapist tell you that?" "No," she said, returning his smile. "You did. In that conference room in Seattle. I've been thinking about it ever since." Liam walked away feeling lighter than he had in years. He didn't know what the future held. Seattle or New York. New opportunities or familiar comforts. But for the first time since he could remember, he was excited to find out. Because whatever came next, he'd be facing it as himself. Completely, unapologetically himself. And that, Liam had learned, was worth more than any business deal, any marriage, any measure of success someone else tried to impose on him. 6 months later asterisk, Liam accepted the position in Seattle. He left New York with his father's blessing and started a new chapter. He made new friends, took up sailing, started dating again, nothing serious yet, but he was open to possibilities in a way he hadn't been in years. Sometimes he still thought about Maya, wondered how she was doing. He'd heard through mutual acquaintances that Vertex Solutions was thriving under her renewed leadership, that she'd bought out Julian completely, that she was doing good work and treating her employees with respect. He hoped it was true. He hoped she'd learned from their shared disaster of a marriage. He hoped she'd become the person she was always capable of being. But mostly, Liam thought about himself. About the man he'd become through the fire of betrayal and the hard work of rebuilding. About the career he'd built through talent and integrity. About the life he was creating on his own terms. And he realized something profound. Maya had been right about one thing. They had outgrown each other, just not in the way she'd thought. She'd outgrown the version of herself who needed Liam's support to feel secure. And Liam had outgrown the version of himself who measured his worth by someone else's approval. They'd both had to lose everything to find out who they really were. It was painful, brutal, devastating, but ultimately necessary. Sometimes, Liam reflected on quiet Sunday mornings in his Seattle apartment, sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes people need to be broken down completely to rebuild themselves into something stronger. And sometimes the greatest act of love is letting someone go. Even when, especially when, they've treated you terribly. Because holding on to anger, seeking revenge, trying to destroy the person who hurt you, that doesn't set you free. It just keeps you trapped in their story. Liam had chosen a different path. He'd chosen to tell his own story. Build his own success. Define his own worth. And in the end, that was the ultimate victory. If you enjoyed this story, like this video and leave a comment telling me what you thought. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to get alerts for new stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.